My name is Brian. I'm 33 years old, born and raised in Texas. I serve in the U.S. Army, and I've been doing that proudly for almost 12 years. Before I got deployed again, life was good. I lived in a quiet neighborhood called Crestbrook Hills just outside San Antonio. It wasn't fancy, but it was home. My wife, Amanda, and I had been married for 5 years. I remember sending her a message one night before going to sleep. "Hey babe, haven't heard from you in a while. Everything good at home?" No reply. Just silence. Then it happened. It was a Sunday morning when I got a message from her. Just 5 words. "We're done. I filed today." I stared at the screen for a long time. I thought maybe it was a joke. Or maybe she meant something else. I replied, asking what she meant, if something had happened. A few minutes later, another message came in. "I'm divorcing you, Brian. I already sold the house. It's over. Don't try to contact me." Just like that, like flipping a switch. 5 years of marriage wiped out over 2 texts. And sold the house? That one hit me like a truck. That house was in my name. I'd used part of my signing bonus and a chunk of my savings to buy it before we even got married. My name was on the deed. How the hell could she sell it? I sat on my bunk for what felt like hours, just staring. My brothers in arms around me were laughing, playing cards, doing pull-ups, and there I was, completely numb. When one of them noticed something was off, I just waved him off and said I was tired. But inside, I was burning. Amanda had always wanted more. More money, more excitement, more attention. I should have seen it coming. She was always talking about the guys in town with boats, new trucks, or second homes. I thought she understood the kind of life we had. A steady life. Honest. I didn't sleep that night. Or the night after. It took everything in me just to keep my focus during training and assignments. I still had 5 more months before I could go back home, and every day felt like walking through fire. I kept my head down. I didn't tell anyone what had happened, but I made myself a promise. When I got back, I was going to find out exactly what she did, how she sold that house, who she sold it to, what she was hiding, and when I found out, I was going to take back what she stole from me. I wasn't angry just because she left. I was angry because of how she did it, because she lied, because she thought I was too far away to do anything about it, that she could just throw me away like I was nothing. But she didn't know who she was messing with. 2 months later, one of my buddies, Chris, came to me holding his phone. "Bro, is this your wife?" he asked, showing me an Instagram story. My heart sank. It was Amanda, dressed in a tight red dress, sitting beside some guy in a flashy white sports car, laughing and holding up a glass of wine. The caption said, "Starting my new life with the man who actually puts me first. Cheers to fresh starts." The guy looked like he was maybe 40. Sunglasses, fake tan, some wannabe millionaire. The kind of guy who uses words like investment opportunity and wears loafers without socks. I felt my jaw clench. She didn't just leave me. She traded me in like a used car. After that, I started doing my own digging during downtime. I still had a few months before I got out, but I needed answers. I used every break to search. I found out Amanda had listed the house a month before she even texted me. Used a local real estate agent named Brooke, someone I'd met once at a barbecue. That same agent had somehow listed the house under Amanda's name only. That shouldn't have been possible. She forged my signature. There's no other way. The paperwork must have been faked. There's no legal way she could have sold a property that was under my name without me signing. Not unless someone helped her. Now I had something solid, something I could use. I stayed quiet. I didn't contact Amanda again, didn't confront her, didn't blow up her phone. I just waited. By the time I was finally back in the States, 6.5 months had passed. I had a beard, a mean tan, and a heart full of fire. The first thing I did when I landed in San Antonio was rent a car. I didn't go to a hotel. I didn't call anyone. I drove straight to my old house, or what used to be mine. It was different now. The yard was trimmed, but not how I liked it. The new paint on the garage was some ugly beige color Amanda always said she hated. And parked in the driveway, right in front of the garage, was that same white sports car from the Instagram story. I parked a little down the street and waited. I needed to see who lived there now. I didn't have to wait long. About an hour later, Amanda walked out the front door, wearing yoga pants and holding a coffee mug. She kissed that same guy from the photo and got into the passenger seat of the car. They drove off like they had no worries in the world. And that's when it clicked. They were living in my house, sleeping in my bed, using my kitchen. And I was about to flip their world upside down. I called my lawyer the very next day. A good one. The kind that charges $300 an hour but knows people who matter. I gave him every piece of information I had. The text messages, the forged paperwork, the Instagram photos, everything. And then I gave him one mission. I want my house back. I want them out. And I want to do it in a way they'll never forget. That was just the beginning. A week later, I visited the county clerk's office. I pulled up the deed to the house. My name had been replaced by Amanda's through a notarized transfer document. The signature was mine, except it wasn't, because I never signed it. My lawyer filed an official claim of forgery and fraud. The county froze the title until an investigation could be completed, which meant no more selling, no more renting, no more changes. The house was in limbo, and they didn't even know it yet. That was just my first move. Next, I needed dirt on the guy Amanda had shacked up with. I couldn't go after him legally yet, but I had a feeling he was shady. You don't flash wealth that hard without hiding something. I started asking around. A friend of mine in the police department agreed to do a little digging, unofficially. That's when the first big piece dropped. The guy Amanda was with? His name was Derek. Derek wasn't rich. Not really. He was deep in debt. The car was leased. His house before Amanda's was under foreclosure, and worst of all, he had 2 businesses under investigation for tax evasion. He was already on the radar. Amanda had left a soldier for a con artist, but that wasn't even the biggest hit. A week later, I got a call from my lawyer. We got it. The signature was a match for a fake. Your name is still legally attached to that house. She committed real estate fraud. We can move forward. That same day, Amanda posted on her Instagram story again, celebrating our 3-month anniversary in our new home. I watched it 5 times, smiling to myself, because what she didn't know was that I had just filed a lawsuit against her, and the sheriff was coming to her door. Real soon. 2 weeks passed before the papers were officially delivered. Amanda had no clue it was coming. I made sure of that. My lawyer had the documents sent in a way that would guarantee maximum shock value, hand-delivered by a sheriff's deputy, right to the front door of my house. I waited across the street in a rented car, sipping coffee and watching like a hawk. It was a warm Thursday morning when the black and white cruiser rolled up. Amanda was outside, pulling weeds from the front garden, dressed in a tank top and pajama pants. She looked relaxed. She didn't even notice the cruiser until the deputy stepped out and started walking up the driveway. She stood up, confused, wiping her hands on her pants. The deputy spoke for less than a minute, then handed her a thick manila envelope. She opened it right there on the porch. I saw her face fall. Her body went stiff. Her hand covered her mouth like she'd just seen a ghost. Then she shouted something inside the house. That smug-looking Derek guy came out in basketball shorts, holding a bowl of cereal. He took one look at the papers in her hand and looked like he'd been hit with a brick. They both ran inside. I sat there, smiling for the first time in months. The lawsuit laid it out clean: fraud, forged signature, illegal sale of property, and unlawful occupation. The investigation had proven that Amanda had faked my signature with a shady notary's help. That notary, by the way, had already lost her license. Amanda thought she was smart, but she had no clue how many federal laws she had broken. The court documents gave them 30 days to respond. 30 days before the house was returned to my legal ownership. 30 days before they'd be forced to move out. And that was just the start of my revenge. But I didn't want them to just leave. I wanted them to feel what I felt. While Amanda scrambled to figure out what to do next, I quietly went to work. I contacted an old buddy of mine, Matt, who was working as a private investigator in Austin. He was good, real good. The kind of guy who could find out what your neighbor ate for lunch 3 months ago if you gave him time. Matt, I said, I need you to dig into this guy Derek. I mean everything. His bank records, his old businesses, his relationships. I want to know what he's hiding. Matt gave a little laugh on the phone. You want dirt? I'll get you the whole backyard. A few days later, I got the first report. Derek had a trail of bad business deals behind him. He'd opened and closed 2 shady marketing firms in Dallas, got sued by a former partner, filed bankruptcy once, skipped town twice, but the worst part? He had a sealed arrest record in Nevada. Matt said it would take some time to unseal it, but he was already working on it. And if Derek had any skeletons in that closet, we were about to rattle the whole thing. Meanwhile, Amanda was going nuts. She posted a crying selfie on her Instagram, something about people trying to destroy her happiness, and jealous exes who couldn't move on. Comments were turned off. She was trying to control the narrative, trying to make it look like I was the villain, but I kept my mouth shut. I didn't need to speak. The courts were doing that for me. Amanda finally responded to the lawsuit with her own lawyer. They tried to delay the hearing, saying she acted in good faith and didn't know she needed my signature. My lawyer destroyed that argument in a single paragraph. He included text messages, photos, proof of the fake signature, and even a side-by-side comparison showing how badly she tried to copy my handwriting. The judge set a hearing date for 45 days later, but before we got to court, something unexpected happened. Amanda called me. I hadn't spoken to her since the day she texted me during deployment. Her name popped up on my screen while I was at the gym. I let it ring the first time, then the second, but on the third try, I picked up. Brian, she said, her voice small and shaky. Why are you calling me? There was a pause. I could hear her breathing heavy. Too messed up. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I was lonely, and Derek said he knew people, and he promised he could handle everything with the house. I thought it would be okay. I didn't know you'd come after me like this. I didn't say anything. She kept going. I don't want to fight. Can we just settle? Maybe you could let me keep the house and I'll pay you some money. I don't want to lose everything, Brian. I nearly laughed. Settle? Amanda, you committed fraud. That house was mine. You sold it like I was dead. You don't get to make offers. She tried to cry. Please, Brian, I made a mistake. Derek's not who I thought he was. He's got issues. He's been acting weird lately. And just like that, I had my opening. I said nothing else and hung up. That same night, Matt called me. Hey, I got what you were looking for, he said. That sealed record? Derek did 6 months in Reno for scamming an elderly couple out of $10,000. He pretended to be a financial advisor. Got caught, cut a deal, and walked with probation. That's why it was sealed first-time offense. But it's public now. I sat back in my chair, heart pounding. This was it, the final piece. I forwarded the report to my lawyer, who immediately filed to include it in our court hearing. Now Amanda's new boyfriend wasn't just a sleazy liar. He was a criminal. The judge would see that and understand the whole picture. I could already imagine Amanda panicking, trying to scrub her social media, maybe even trying to move. But it was too late. Then came the extreme twist I hadn't planned for. 3 days before the court hearing, Amanda's house, my house, was raided by the IRS. Apparently, Derek had been using the address to file fake business returns. Someone had tipped them off. Maybe one of his old partners. Maybe someone else. Either way, the feds showed up early one morning with jackets, boxes, and gloves. Neighbors watched as they pulled out 2 laptops, several bags of documents, and even a small safe from the garage. Amanda was photographed in her bathrobe, screaming at the agents. Derek was handcuffed and shoved into the back of a car. And I watched it all go down from 2 blocks away, parked in my car with a hot breakfast sandwich and the biggest smile I've had in 10 years. The moment Amanda was being driven away in tears, I sent her one last text. This is what it feels like to be abandoned. I turned my phone off after that. Let her sit with it. Let her wonder what would happen next. Because that was only the beginning. Amanda didn't answer my text. Not that I expected her to. The next morning, my phone buzzed with updates from Matt and my lawyer at the same time. Derek had been officially charged with tax fraud and falsifying federal documents. He'd be held without bail until his hearing, which was scheduled in 3 weeks. The feds had found enough dirt to bury him. As for Amanda, she was released later that night after a few hours of questioning, but not before every news station in San Antonio plastered her face all over their local segment. IRS cracks down on suburban tax fraud. Woman detained in Crestbrook Hills home raid. You could see her in the background, hiding her face, wrapped in a blanket. The same blanket we used to have in our living room. The same one I bought during our 3rd year of marriage on a road trip to Colorado. She looked nothing like the woman I had married. And I wasn't sure if I pitied her or just felt nothing at all. The day of the court hearing finally arrived. I showed up in a clean suit, hair trimmed, boots shined. Walking into that courtroom was like walking into battle, except this time, I had every weapon on my side. Amanda sat across from me, her lawyer whispering furiously into her ear. She looked tired, pale, smaller somehow. Her hair was messy, and her makeup did little to hide the stress on her face. No flashy red dress, no high heels. Just a plain black outfit like she was going to a funeral. Maybe in her mind, she was. The judge was a no-nonsense woman in her 60s who got right to the point. She asked both sides to make opening remarks, then turned her attention straight to Amanda. "Mrs. Pierce," she said, "can you explain how your husband's signature appears on a legal document transferring the house title when we have an expert witness confirming it was forged?" Amanda opened her mouth, closed it, then whispered something to her attorney. He stood up and said, "Your Honor, my client made an error in judgment. She was misled by an individual, Derek Wyatinto, believing that she had the authority to complete the transaction. She regrets her actions deeply." The judge raised an eyebrow. Misled or willing participant? The evidence provided suggests she was fully aware of what she was doing. The rest of the hearing was a blur of documents, statements, and witness testimonies, including one from the notary who admitted she got paid under the table to look the other way. It was over in less than 3 hours. The ruling? In my favor, on all counts. The house was returned to my name effective immediately. Amanda was ordered to vacate the property within 7 days. She also faced pending charges for real estate fraud, though her lawyer begged for leniency and proposed a deal: full financial restitution and cooperation in the IRS case against Derek in exchange for no jail time. The judge didn't say yes or no, just told the prosecutors to review it and schedule a follow-up. I walked out of that courthouse with more than just a win, I walked out knowing Amanda's world was crumbling, just like she had tried to make mine crumble while I was overseas. But I wasn't done yet. See, Amanda thought she'd lost the house. What she didn't know was that I had no intention of living in it again. Too many memories. Too much poison in the walls. I didn't want it, but it was still mine. And I had one final move to make. That weekend, I called a demolition crew, told them I wanted to tear it down. Every wall, every tile, every piece. They were confused. You sure? It's a solid property. I smiled. I'm sure. While the permits were being processed, I stopped by the house one last time. Amanda was still there, packing the last of her things. She froze when she saw me walk in through the front door. "Brian," she started, but I held up a hand. "Don't. I'm not here for a conversation." She looked around. "So what now? You gonna sell it? Keep it? You got what you wanted, right?" I looked at the floor. The same floor we once danced on when we were drunk off cheap wine and hope. Then I looked at her. "I'm going to burn every trace of you out of this place." She laughed nervously. "What does that mean?" I didn't answer. A week later, I stood with my arms crossed as the demolition team brought the first wall down. The neighbors watched from their porches, whispering. The house Amanda had once called her fresh start was reduced to rubble in less than 4 hours. I didn't sell the land. I donated it to a local veterans group who used the lot to build a small community garden and a quiet sitting area for retired soldiers. A better use than anything Amanda or Derek could have come up with. But while that chapter was closing, another one was still unfolding. Matt called me again. "Brian, you might want to hear this." "What now?" I asked. Turns out Derek had more going on than we thought. The IRS found 2 offshore accounts. And get this, she had Amanda listed as a business partner on some of his filings. She's not off the hook. Not by a long shot. My jaw clenched. "You saying she might go down for this too?" "Looks that way. They're reopening the fraud investigation, and she's being dragged back into it." I hung up and stared out the window. Amanda's life was unraveling faster than even I imagined. Her fancy boyfriend? In jail? Her house? Demolished? Her money? Frozen by the IRS? And now, she was looking at more serious charges than before. But the thing that hit hardest? The part that turned this revenge from sweet to satisfying? A few days later, Amanda showed up at my apartment. She looked like a ghost. Thin, pale, eyes sunken. She held a small box of papers. Her hand trembled. "I have nowhere else to go," she whispered. "They took my accounts, my car, everything. I didn't know what Derek was doing. I swear. Please." I didn't say a word. I just looked at her, long and hard. She finally broke down right there in the hallway, cried like a child. But I felt nothing. No anger, no joy, just silence. When she looked up again, eyes red, she asked, "Can I stay for just a few days?" I stared at her, then said the words I'd been holding in for months. "No." And I closed the door. But what I didn't know then was that Amanda wasn't going to disappear quietly. Because 2 weeks later, I found a handwritten letter in my mailbox. And what was inside changed everything. The letter came in a plain white envelope with no return address. No stamps, no markings, just tucked neatly into my mailbox like someone had placed it there by hand. I almost threw it away, thinking it was some local real estate junk or a scam offer. But when I flipped it over and opened it, my heart stopped. Inside was a folded piece of notebook paper. No typed words, just messy handwriting I recognized instantly. Amanda's. "Brian, you won. You took everything from me. The house, my reputation, my future. I don't blame you. I deserved it. I just want you to know There are things you don't understand. Things about Derek. Things about what we did. It was never supposed to happen this way. He told me you were cheating while you were overseas, that you were planning to divorce me. I believed him. I was stupid. And now, it's too late. But if you want the truth, go to the old storage unit on Laramie Street, Unit 104. The code is 1990. Everything's there, Amanda. I stood there on my porch, staring at the letter. The breeze was light, birds chirped in the trees nearby, and a kid rode by on a bike down the sidewalk like it was just a normal day. But something about the note chilled me. Derek told her I was cheating? I never even looked at another woman. While I was out there sleeping in tents, dodging sandstorms and missing holidays, she was back here getting poison whispered into her ear by a guy who would later be cuffed and thrown in a federal van. And what the hell was in the storage unit? I drove to Laramie Street that same evening. It was an older part of town, mostly warehouses and old mechanic shops, the kind of place you'd expect to see on a crime show. The storage facility was halfway fenced, rusted out in spots, with a flickering sign that read, "Ease Lock Storage." I walked down the rows of metal doors until I found Unit 104. Punched in the code, 1990. The lock clicked. I opened it slowly, half expecting to see something terrible. But inside, it was dark, dusty. A few cardboard boxes sat stacked in the corner, an old suitcase, a duffel bag, and a plastic container with papers and photos. I closed the door behind me and flipped on the little light bulb hanging from the ceiling. Then I opened the first box. Inside were files, dozens of them. Stamped papers, spreadsheets, contracts. I flipped through one. It was a business registration in Amanda's name. Another one, tax filings with Derek's name and hers side by side. All fake. The next box had pictures. Photos of Derek with different women. Amanda wasn't in most of them. In one, he had his arm around a woman at a casino in Reno. Another showed him handing over an envelope to a guy I didn't recognize outside a car rental place in Phoenix. This wasn't just a shady guy with a bad record. Derek had been running scams across state lines for years. And Amanda? She had signed her name on several documents tying her to it all. Either she was in on it, or she had been used. Hard. The duffel bag had a laptop inside. Old. Password protected. I wasn't a tech guy, but I knew someone who was. I called Matt again. "Hey," I said. "You busy?" "Always. What do you have?" "A bomb. Come over." He arrived an hour later, sat down with the laptop at my dining table, and got to work. "You know this could be federal evidence, right?" he muttered, typing fast. "Yep." "Good. Just checking." 30 minutes later, he was in. No password was going to stop Matt. What we found was worse than anything I had imagined. The laptop had folders filled with PDFs, fake loan applications, forged tax returns, identity scans, even driver's licenses made in Photoshop. Derek had been filing fraudulent business loans in the names of at least 8 different people. Some of those names matched documents Amanda had kept in the boxes. Her signature was on 3 of them. Matt looked at me with wide eyes. "This isn't just bad, Brian. This is jail. For 20 years bad. If Amanda had this stuff, why didn't she turn it in?" "She probably didn't know what to do with it," I said. "Or maybe she was scared of him." Matt clicked through more files. "This could blow the IRS case wide open. The feds are going to love you." The next day, I scheduled a meeting with the IRS contact who had been working Derek's case. I told him I had materials they might want to see. When I showed up with Matt and the boxes of documents, the agent looked like it was Christmas morning. Within a week, Derek's case went from serious to explosive. But something strange happened next. Amanda disappeared. She stopped showing up for her court-mandated check-ins. Her phone went straight to voicemail. Her social media accounts were deactivated. Even her lawyer claimed he hadn't heard from her. I didn't want to believe something bad had happened. But a week after her disappearance, I got a call from an unknown number. "Brian," the voice said, quiet, hoarse. It was Amanda. "Where are you?" "I can't tell you. They're watching me." "What are you talking about?" "They think I flipped. Because of you." I could hear traffic in the background. A bus horn. Distant shouting. Amanda was hiding somewhere downtown. "You need to go to the police," I said. "Tell them what you know. Turn over everything. You still have a chance to walk away from this." "I can't. You don't get it. Derek's people, they don't just stop. He owed people money. Real money." I swallowed hard. "What people?" She hesitated. "The kind of people who don't knock on doors before they come inside." That was the last thing she said before the line went dead. I stood frozen, phone still pressed to my ear. Amanda had dug a hole too deep, one she thought she could crawl out of by dragging me down. But now she was the one being hunted. And for the first time in this whole story, I didn't feel victorious. I felt a chill down my spine, because revenge had pulled me out of the fire. But Amanda? She was still burning. And someone out there wanted to make sure she never spoke again. That night, I got another letter. No envelope this time. Just a single sheet of paper taped to my front door. "Stay out of this. You already got your revenge. Let what's done stay buried, or you'll be next." No signature. No name. Just those 4 lines. And a fingerprint smear of oil in the corner. That was the moment I realized this wasn't over. It was just getting started. I stared at that note for a long time, longer than I care to admit. My front porch light flickered above me, humming quietly. I looked left, then right, nothing. No movement, no car idling. Whoever left the note was long gone. But their message stuck to me like smoke in my lungs. Let what's done stay buried. The problem was, I wasn't built like that. I couldn't just walk away. Not now. Especially not when someone was threatening me on my property. I brought the note inside, slid it into a Ziploc bag, and dropped it on the table in front of Matt the next morning. He studied it with narrowed eyes. "Whoever wrote this isn't some punk trying to scare you. That's a warning." "Yeah," I said. "And I don't like warnings." Matt grabbed a flashlight, inspected the back of the paper under the kitchen light. "Looks like oil, maybe engine grease. That might narrow down where they've been. Garage, machine shop, warehouse." I leaned back in my chair, arms crossed. "Amanda said Derek owed people. You think he was working for someone else? Or just in too deep?" Matt looked up. "Scammers like him don't stay solo for long. My guess? He got in with people who knew how to make money disappear and keep mouths shut. And Amanda, she wasn't supposed to keep a paper trail. But she did." My stomach turned. That storage unit might have been the thing that saved me, but it might have just signed her death warrant. The next day, I took the note to the local PD. The officer at the desk took it, nodded, filled out a report, and said the same thing they always say. "We'll look into it." Which meant, we're not touching this unless a body shows up. So I made a decision. If Amanda really was in trouble and this was all spiraling into something darker, I was going to find her first. I remembered something she once told me, back when we were still married. "If anything ever happens to me," she said one night while watching a crime documentary, "you look in the places where no one wants to be seen. Shelters, halfway houses, clinics. That's where the invisible go." She'd said it half jokingly, like one of those deep late-night thoughts, but now it felt like a breadcrumb. So I started there. I visited every shelter in downtown San Antonio, asked around, showed her photo. Most people shrugged, didn't know her. But on the 3rd stop, a woman at the front desk leaned in. "She's been here." I tensed. When? Couple days ago. Came in late, looked roughed up. Didn't stay long. She asked for a phone charger, then left before morning. You know where she went? The woman hesitated. She was asking about the Rivergate Motel, off Commerce. That place was notorious, not just for being run down, but for who stayed there: drifters, parolees, the desperate. I drove over, heart thudding. My hands gripped the wheel tight enough to turn my knuckles white. Rivergate looked exactly like you'd expect. Faded red brick, windows boarded or cracked, parking lot half full of busted-up sedans and a van with a missing back tire. Room 9 had the curtain half drawn. I knocked twice. No answer. I waited. Knocked again. Amanda, it's me. Silence. Then, a shuffle. The door cracked open an inch, held by the chain lock. Her face appeared. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Eyes sunken, skin pale, hair tangled. She stared at me for a long second, like she was deciding if I was real. Then she whispered, "Why are you here?" "Because someone threatened me," I said. "Because I found your note, and because no matter what you did, you don't deserve to die for it." She looked away, then closed the door. I heard the chain slide. The door opened wider. She let me in. The room smelled like mildew and old carpet. A single lamp flickered in the corner. A bag of fast food sat half-eaten on the dresser. Amanda sat down on the edge of the bed, legs trembling. "I messed up, Brian," she said. "It's worse than you know." "Then tell me. Start from the beginning." She took a shaky breath. Derek was in deep. He wasn't just stealing money, he was laundering it. For a guy named Kellen Pierce. He ran a few businesses around Texas car dealerships, pawn shops, even a trucking company. All fake fronts. "Wait, Pierce. Same last name as you." She gave a bitter laugh. "Not a coincidence. He used me. Told people we were cousins. Made the paperwork easier. Banks didn't ask questions when you're family. That's how he got so much through." I felt sick. And now? Now Kellen thinks I talked. He knows about the storage unit. He must have found out it got into the Fed's hands. That's why he's sending people. Not to scare me, to shut me up. I sat down across from her. "Then we go to the Feds. Right now. You testify, give them names, details. Let them protect you." She shook her head. "I already tried. They said they couldn't help me unless I handed them something big." My mind raced. "Then we need something bigger than what's in those boxes." Amanda hesitated, then looked at me. "There's one more thing." She got up, opened the mini fridge in the corner, and pulled out a manila envelope. Inside were 3 flash drives and a torn notebook page with scribbled numbers and times. "What is this?" I asked. Derek recorded everything. For leverage. He used to keep audio backups, deals, phone calls, even meetings with Kellen. Said he wanted protection in case someone flipped on him. I took the drives the night before the IRS raid. He never knew. My jaw dropped. "Amanda, this could take them all down." She nodded slowly. "But it also makes me target number 1. We left the motel that night. I didn't let her out of my sight. We drove to Matt's place, and he set up a secure laptop to check the drives. And just like she said, they were real. Recordings of phone calls between Derek and Kellen, discussions about wire transfers, details on false invoices, fake shipping manifests, and code phrases like truckload of tires for money drops. One recording made my blood run cold. It was Derek's voice. Calm, confident. "If Amanda ever runs, you know what to do. She's got enough dirt on us to bury half of San Antonio, but she's emotional. She'll mess up. Just wait, then clean it up." The next morning, Matt handed the evidence over to the IRS task force. They moved fast, issued fresh warrants, froze more assets. And then, just 3 days later, Kellen Pierce was arrested. Big news. Front page. The whole ring came crashing down. Amanda agreed to testify in exchange for full immunity. But her life would never be the same. She entered witness protection 2 weeks after Kellen's arrest. New name, new city. Gone, like a ghost. I never saw her again. Sometimes I wonder if she's okay, if she ever found peace. As for me, I stayed in San Antonio. Still serve, still train. I bought a small condo on the west side. Quiet, simple, no memories. But every so often, I drive past the old lot where my house used to be. There's a new garden there now. Veterans sit on benches. Kids play in the grass. And I remember, revenge doesn't always come with flames and fire. Sometimes, it comes with silence and justice. And the look in someone's eyes when they realize you didn't just survive the storm, you were the storm.